Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly and I'm back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready. Today, my guest is Scott Conley, and I just posted about him this week, or last week when she'll be hearing this, because he celebrated a birthday. He crushed his birthday push-ups. He came in, took the day off, came in. You rocked them. You rocked your birthday push-ups, and it's a sign. It's a good sign when someone reminds you that. Well, I knew because I knew that you were in Aries and your birthday was coming up. But always a good sign. Scott came to us in June of 2024, so we'll be celebrating 2 years of Scott at KBC this June. And I remember it like it was yesterday because I was so excited. You were referred to Bob, and we'll talk about that or referred by Bob. We'll talk about that a little bit. But he came and he's like, listen, I've been really consistent with this at-home program, and I think I'm plateauing. I think I need something else. And here we are. Scott, do you want to introduce yourself to the Start Before You're Ready community?
Hi, hey everybody. My name is Scott Conley. Really excited to be here. Kelly has kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. Joining her, the gym and in boot camp was a tough decision. I was nervous, but especially getting to know the guys. And I had seen you guys out in the parking lots for years. Like I saw you at Eastgate and at other places. And I always wondered what those crazy people were doing out there. Never thought that I'd be one of them. So it's awesome to be here.
Okay, well, let's go back to when you start. So you're an athlete, lifelong athlete. I mean, once an athlete, always an athlete. Had you kept up with your fitness since college athlete or since being an athlete?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So no, actually I had not. So I was offensive lineman, University of Delaware, go Blue Hens. My last year playing football was 2006. And for the first couple of years after college, I would say moderately active. You know, you're starting off in a career, you want to be healthy. I kind of had this vision of what a successful professional looked like. And it's somebody who gets up early, works out, goes to work, crushes it, comes home, hangs out with the family. And so like that's in my mind. But then you get into like an actual job, and it's the monotony of the day after day after day. And I the first thing to go was the exercise. And then I started picking up some other habits that weren't as healthy. Eating out all the time, drinking too much. Like those things, like they're so subtle. Like they build on you. You don't realize it, that it's now become like a daily part of your life. And so to answer your question, the first, I would say 2 years, I was pretty good. And then I was not healthy and making good decisions from 2010 through when I finally started it was really the pandemic that kind of spurred me to start being active again. But I had gotten, I played, my playing weight was about 280. I'd gotten up to about 340 in weight and just, it was just not in a good place.
Yeah. For reference, Scott is a big guy, big as in tall and big frame. So we talked about you're a lineman, you're a big guy. So that obviously the 300s isn't what you want, but like, I see what you're saying. Like you felt good at your playing weight. And that's kind of, is that still your goal?
So no, actually I want to get down to like, my goal is like 250-ish. I think that's a healthy weight for me. I'm 6'3". I think that's a good place for me. And so two things happened right around the pandemic, right around 2018 that changed kind of the trajectory of my life in a lot of ways. Number one was I decided to stop drinking. That was a big decision for me, something that I had to kind of reevaluate my life and what decisions I was making. So that happened in like November of 18. And then kind of slowly but surely, I started to focus on like health. Like first I got to kind of get your spiritually right, my mind right, and now my physical fitness. So it was really the pandemic. It was the catalyst for that. March of 2020, I remember it like yesterday, when everything shut down. I went from going into Tyson's Corner 5 days a week to now being home. And I thought to myself, like, shit, like this is the time to do something. And so in April of 2020, I went on to Nordic Track's website. I bought a treadmill and I got it like 3 weeks later. And I started this program of like this. There's like, it's called iFit, is their like version of like a Peloton workout. And they had this program of like going from the couch to running for 30 minutes within 6 weeks. And I was like, all right, well, I'll do that. And so it was this guy, and every day I got on the treadmill, and it was like the first exercise was you jog for 30 seconds and you walk for a minute. And you just do that over and over again for 30 minutes. And then over 6 weeks, you just continue to build to the point by the end of the 6 weeks. And by this time I was tracking my weight, losing weight. And I went from like 330 over the course of 6 weeks down to like 315. And then I finally, by the last one, I remember it, I was like, all right, here's the day I'm going to run for 30 minutes. And I did it. And I was like, so proud of myself. Such a
Scott.
And then so I eventually kind of continued that through 2023. And I started running every day for 30 minutes. Like that was what I did. I wasn't lifting weights. I was just running. And so body feeling better, losing weight. I got down to like 260, I think, during that time. But then to your point, Kelly, I plateaued. I definitely plateaued. My body adjusted. I got used to running. Like, so running on the treadmill 30 minutes was no longer hard. It was like almost like walking, and my weight started to creep back up, and I noticed that. And so that's what prompted me. And that summer, I'd heard about Kelly's. I said, all right, fuck it. I'm going to reach out and let's just see what happens. And that's when I reached out to you.
I love it.
Yeah.
But you were connected to Bob too, right?
So I'd known Bob for years. And I know some other people that through like kids sports and all kinds of stuff that had gone to you and raved about you. But of course, that was like, there was part of it was like I was so comfortable getting on my treadmill in the morning. So part of it for me was like getting out of my comfort zone to like commit to a gym. Because like if I didn't want to run one day, nobody knew about it except for me. Versus if I sign up for a class and I don't go, like I got Dennis texting me like, where the hell are you on a Wednesday? Like that to me, I didn't know if I was ready for that, but it became the best thing that ever happened to me to take that leap. Yeah,
I love that, Scott. And I do feel like when I met you, I knew you were serious. I knew that this was not like, I always kind of try to predict when I meet people what their trajectory is going to be, not just from experience. And I was like, this guy's going to do really well here because you're team minded and you had already found success and you were coming from that momentum, but also just the way I know we talked offline before, like I said, do you feel like you're in your 20s? You're like, I feel like a teenager. I think you still feel like a football player. Like you still have that mentality. And I think that I want to say a lot of types of people do really well in our program, but I will say that men that have identified being in a team, as having a team sport as part of them, do exceptionally well, because even though we're not keeping score and we're training for something and we're part of a team and we're all trying to get better together. And if you like that, you tend to like KBC.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially anybody who's been part of a locker room, you're always chasing that like experience again and the camaraderie of it. And like the going through hard shit together part of it. Like it's so hard to recreate. It's hard. You can't really do it in an office environment because it's like, it's kind of fake, but at KBC, it truly is like the guys there, especially the women too. Everyone wants everyone else to be successful, and everyone there tends to be motivated, or they wouldn't be at the gym. So like to kind of tap into that energy has been really, really cool and unexpected. I did not anticipate that aspect of joining the community.
Yeah. Now I'm just curious about expectations. What were like some of you, I mean, you said you were worried, and this is really big. I want to say this again, because you said it and it's really big. You were worried that you weren't going to commit. Like you didn't want to do it if you weren't going to commit. And it was like your treadmill down the basement. No one knew if you were getting on it or not, versus if you're joining a workout program, if you're not showing up, people are going to notice. So that was a concern.
Well, so that was twofold. So that piece of it, like the accountability piece of it, but also just like, it's scary when because like I had tried like P90X before and like it almost killed me. Like it was so hard. I was like, all right, I'm going to go here and I am not good. The last thing anybody wants to do is embarrass themselves. So like go into a new class where everyone has been there before. At least that's your perception. They all know what they're doing. They're all in much better shape than you. The last thing you want to do is go and make a fool of yourself. And so it was that piece, but also the accountability piece. But at some point, you just got to say, screw it. Like, to me, the opportunity to be healthy, get outside my comfort zone, like, why not try it? First class is free. So it's like, why wouldn't you try it? Yeah. And so when you get there and you realize, I think one of the first people I met was Chuck, and how welcoming they were. And like the kind of the advice of like, all right, do just a couple classes. Don't do 5 classes when you first start, or it's probably going to be hard to go to the bathroom, to sit down after. That's just, and like you can kind of laugh through it. And so the kind of the open and welcoming community was the part that I latched onto from the beginning. And so like all those anticipated fears were just not true. I know, so it's like, I feel like a lot of times in my life that things get really cool when I step outside my comfort zone. So I try to constantly force myself outside of it. And this was one of those opportunities.
That's so great, Scott. From a workout perspective, what did you notice?
The biggest piece for me was the mobility aspect of it. Like, I had not realized how unmobile I had become, because I was literally doing the same treadmill motion for 3 or 4 years at that point. So like my hamstrings, my quad, like my back, all that stuff, I was so unmobile and unable to like stretch. So for me, like, yes, of course, the doing deadlifts for the first time in like 15 years, that stuff was sore. But for me, the biggest part, like being able to do like a pigeon and being able to put my foot up on the equalizer and like stretch, I had not realized how unflexible I had become and how much that was impacting the rest of my life. Like being able to like go outside and run around with my kids and start jogging, like, again, in my mind, I'm a 16-year-old athlete versus a 40-year-old man. And so that to me is probably the biggest gift of that, of KBC, is forcing myself to use muscles that I wouldn't otherwise have used, the focus on mobility and straining. And once you get past that initial like sore as shit phase, I haven't been nearly as sore, but I've also been super mobile. And like that to me is a huge piece of it.
I have noticed a tremendous difference in your mobility as well. I mean, just you take a lot of my classes, so I get the privilege of watching you transform and that stuff. I mean, you've always been strong. You were strong since day one, but I agree that some of the muscles that tend to get neglected if you're not specifically training them needed work, and that's muscle balance. And that is really, really important as we age. We want to make sure that not just, we don't just have strong chest. We want to have the legs, the back, the core, all the other stuff that matters. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So some of the guys, and this comes from Chris NaQuinn. He's your age, actually. He had twin girls, and we haven't seen him in a little while, but he's one of my favorite dudes. And he used to tell me, Kelly, no step touches. Like, he didn't like when we did anything like it felt like an aerobics class. So I try not to, but I do, sometimes we do. Does that bother you? Or are you like,
no, I can care less. Like everything we do is hard. Just like you can make it as hard as you want. So none of that stuff would I ever like judge as being not manly enough. I think that's stupid because it's all hard. One of the hardest classes I took was a bar class when I was trying to do, I think, 20 classes in like 20 days.
Bingo. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so like all this stuff's hard. And so it's great that there's such a variety. I mean, the hardest class I think that I've ever been to is the step class, where it was like mentally difficult and physically hard, but you feel so good afterwards.
Yeah. That's so funny. Second guy that Andrew gave Steph a shout out too. Amy commented, she's like, the biggest surprise from Andrew's podcast was he likes Steph. I'm like, yeah, he didn't before, but he said the same exact thing. He's like, I kind of like it's like not my first choice, but I kind of like the mental challenge of it. And we know Bob's as big as you, and he loves
it. Yeah.
And he's gotten really good at it too.
As long as I'm not in the front, I think I don't want to mess up the entire room.
Yeah. Well, I got Dennis doing it.
One of my goals is not this year, next year, to conquer step and like be a badass step guy and figure out all because it looks so cool when the whole room's doing it right.
It's a learning curve. You've got to just go into it and be like, I'm gonna just not do. But yes, you could. We've done it. You've done it in dude camp before. I love that. So now you're back at work, right? Most days, do you go into the office?
No, I work from home. It's great. So it's funny, like right around the time that right around the time I joined KBC, I also changed companies and went to a fully remote. And so it does have some travel, which is awesome too, that all the classes are on Zoom. But yeah, so for the most part, I'm at home working.
Yeah. Two things that I knew you were legit. One is the hat. I told that story on Instagram the other day of like right away, you're like, is this hat for sale? It's like maybe it was around breast cancer workout. It was a pink hat. I was like, yeah, you want it? And you got the hat and you've worn it like every day since. It's your signature and we love that. And then the other thing is you were traveling like in the very beginning and you're like, I think it was like you wanted to do run club. Like, Kelly, how do I do that? I was like, whoa, this dude's serious. He's going to wake up at 5:45 while he's on the other side of the country and going to work out. It was pretty impressive. Is that your personality, Scott? Are you just like routine? If that's part of your routine, you do it. Like you're obviously very disciplined to get on the treadmill every day for so many years.
Yeah, it's a good question. So like in certain aspects of my life, I'm very routine based. In other aspects, I'm not. Like it took me a long time to like have a normal bedtime, like as an adult. And so for me, what it comes down to is like working out in the morning. And this started from the treadmill days. Like tees up my mindset for the day. Like it makes me feel good. And I think on some levels, I have an addictive personality. So it's like, and once I get into my mind, like this is what I do, it, for better or for worse, my day is thrown off if I don't do it. And so starting with KBC, especially those workouts, like the Wednesday, Friday, Sunday workouts are now kind of core to like my week. And if I don't do them, I just feel off. Especially when I'm traveling, if I can make it work where I can join, I try to as much as possible because for me, like exercise and that stuff is like, it's like a superpower, especially in like a business environment. Like if you go to a trade show for work, most of the people are there to party, like get hammered and socialize. And I'm there to socialize, but I'm also there to be productive. And so by me forcing myself to get up early to work out, it just sets my day up right. Where other people are kind of dragging ass in the morning, I've already been up for an hour. It's almost like I've accomplished something that they have not. And it gives me, in my mind, a leg up on them a little bit. I'm very competitive.
I love that. That was actually one of my questions for you because that's I hear that often. You know, we like to say exercise makes you better at everything, but you just said it very well that you feel like you have a leg up because your energy's different and you've taken, it sounds like, so, and I didn't know that all about you. You've taken a lot of your bad habits and replaced them with good habits.
Yeah.
Really.
I had to. I mean, I tell you, Kelly, like the trajectory of my life was not going well. Like it was some bad decisions. There's some substance abuse on my dad's side of the family, really bad. And I noticed some behaviors of like, now's the time where my kids are young. I either make a decision to change my life or those decisions are going to be made for me. And so I kind of took that leap. And ever since then, like it has teed me up. And it gives me a perspective on life where like I can be super positive because like I know how shitty things can get. And so to be able to come through that and now to get to choose to work out, be present, like all those things are just awesome experiences to go through that I'm super grateful for.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so you have two kids and your son is 14, Chase, and he has been a part of the KBC community and incredibly impressive. One summer you said, Chase wants to work out with us. I was like, Scott, a lot of kids say they want to work out with us and they want to come once. I said, just have him come a couple times. See if he does it. And he did. He came. I mean, until football started, I think he was starting training football, but he was getting up with you at 5:45 in the morning and coming to a parking lot to work out.
Yeah. Both of my kids are amazing. My daughter also, she did a program, the middle school girls program last summer too. And they're both so cool because they each have their own like passions. Like my daughter loves theater, and not just dance and chantilly. She's Baloo in the Jungle Book. So I'm going to be there sobbing, so proud of her, which is going to be awesome. And then my son has like, he's gone down more the sports path. And I don't know where he gets this from. It was after his 6th grade football season, which would have been 2023. It was his first year playing tackle football. And he said, Dad, like he's getting his butt kicked because he's a big kid and he was playing with 8th graders. And he's like, what do I have to do to like be able to compete? And I said, well, meet me downstairs in the gym at 5:15 the next day, and not expecting him to do it at all. It was one of the days I was on my treadmill, I'm running, and door opens and he comes in. And ever since then, he has been consistently working out 3 to 4 days a week. Since then, it's really changed his body. And yeah, so like I bring him with me to run club. He comes with me to all of the holiday events that we do. And it's been really cool to share fitness with both kids. So that's been a really cool experience.
That's fantastic. I love that so much. That's really great. And to be able to have that, to have that to share with him, because had it been 10 years ago, we wouldn't have had that direct experience. He wouldn't be able to watch his dad do it.
Right. Yeah. I think it's so important to me and my wife both to model the behavior. Like, I do not want to be in a position where I'm like, you go run and I'm sitting on my ass, not doing anything productive. So I've definitely tried, we both tried to model the behavior, good eating habits, exercise, being active. It's been really cool to watch them kind of latch on and start to do those things as well.
That's fantastic. That's such a bonus for all of us. And not only getting a healthy, happy, productive, successful dad, but they're also modeling what you're doing. And it sounds like we talked about a little bit that his sports are going to be, so he's not even in high school yet, which if you saw him, you'd be like, there's no way this kid is in middle school. He's a big boy. Like I remember when he first came, I thought he was already in high school. And back then he was probably 13. But so when he gets to high school, so this summer will be your football summer.
Yeah, and so I actually also have volunteered to help out with the freshman team at Champ. He's going to play, yeah. So it'll be fun. So it just to kind of see him grow and get into high school. I remember playing high school football. I remember playing freshman football and all those experiences. And to have a kid who's now old enough to be doing that is just wild to me. So yeah, it'll be a fun summer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, he did Dulles South before, right? Is that, they still call it Dulles South? Yeah. And we were talking about the weight because my boys all played Dulles South and they were always a little thicker. You know, they didn't weigh what they were supposed to weigh. They were always bigger and we were always trying to lose weight to get them on whatever team, running with garbage bags and doing all that. Sounds like you didn't have a choice. He was going to be on the highest weight class.
He had no choice but to play in like the division where for his age group the max weight because of his size. And I've had the privilege of coaching the last 3 years in DYS with some really good dudes and other guys that helped, and we've had a great experience. But it's really cool to kind of see him transition into the high school. I'm excited for him to see kind of him have that experience of being a high school athlete. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Well, Champ football changed every single one of my boys' lives. So I'm really excited for Chase to have that experience. We were very involved in Champ football for many years. And my boys were there. It was Coach Dawson, Jason Dawson. He actually did boot camp for a little while. Great guy. And we used to have Thursday night dinners, team dinners, and he would give a speech. And Friday was run club and I would go into run club like I was coaching football. I was like so fired up. I'm like, Dawson said, and I just got so fired up from being in that room. Honestly, I loved it.
Well, something about like high school sports and just the camaraderie, because it doesn't matter how good you are. Like anybody who, for the most part, wants to participate can. That makes it so cool. Versus like you get to college, it definitely becomes more of a business. Kind of a what have you done for me lately versus high school football. Anybody who's willing to go do the work can play, which makes it so special. So I'm really excited for him to experience that.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, Scott. So let me ask you some questions. Just chatting, which has been way more fun than asking questions. What would you say to someone? So say there's like another guy that was in the situation that you were in, you were commuting to work every day, you had other responsibilities, and you just kind of let exercise wasn't on your list. What would you say to them?
First, it's never too late to prioritize your health. Going through now in my 40s, still young, like it's never too late to prioritize health. And it doesn't have to be 1,000 miles an hour or transition periods where you build. And so the first thing is just try out something. Try some move. Life is just to stop moving. Anybody who was in the position I was in is kind of, what are you waiting for? You know, me plugging into a place where I can come and work out and I don't have to think about what I need to do. Like that was another big piece of it I didn't mention yet. Like versus having to come up with a workout for myself every day. Like I think that's why the treadmill was so accessible. I didn't have to think about it, but then I plateaued. But being able to plug in, all I have to do is show up. Like literally, that's it. That's commitment. And so if someone who is in a situation where maybe they haven't been active for a long time, just show up, go to one class and just see what happens. Are 10,000 times more fit than me. And I've seen people at class who are just starting out and it's their first class. Everyone can figure out a way to get something out of it as long as you're there and you're present. So that's what I would say. Give it a try.
Yeah, that's so good. And I know you bonded with a lot of the guys. I know that's something I find to be incredibly important, especially for guys. And I'm sure you've got your work buddies and you've got your football coach buddies and you've got, and that's great. But it's nice to have a group that is going to notice if you're not there, right? Like, and
one of the things I learned a long time ago is like, as human beings, we are a social creature. Like when we are alone, for us on some level, that's like suffering. Like we can suffer, so like getting out and building networks of people. And I like to your point, I have networks of people everywhere. This is another network. I had a network of people that had to do with like physical activity. I had my work network and other networks. So to plug into this network has been awesome. And to see both men and women who I see on a regular basis, say hi to, catch up with, grab coffee with, has been huge. And that kind of extends the value and the benefits of friendships that you get and you develop with people who are like-minded.
What is your favorite class?
Favorite class? I can answer this in two ways. There's a class that my favorite class to be done with and my favorite class to go to. My favorite class in the world to be done with each Friday is Run Club. Because I know it's going to be hard, but when I'm done with it, I'm like, it's Friday. Like it's the end of the week. So that is my favorite class in the world to be done with. The strength class in the morning, because now we got like this little corner of people that we get together and we work out and we push each other and it's just a lot of fun. So Chuck, Dennis, Ted, all those guys, see them all every Wednesday. Kristen, Kim, I love it. From a social standpoint, that's my favorite class. But by far my favorite class to be done with is Run Club. And then in there also, Dude Camp is just awesome. It's a great class.
I love that. Well, the Wednesday class in particular, I always kind of in my mind think like, if I could only do one workout, what would it be? And I have to say that that's probably it, just because we hit everything. And it really is like the game changer of a workout when you're doing that kind of strength work. And obviously like, there's different ways to do strength, but I am convinced that anytime you make your muscles tired, you're getting stronger and you're increasing your muscle. And you guys are all such great examples of that. I know when you first started in particular, your muscle is funny with you because you were trying to get weight off. You're like, I want to move my weight. And it's like, it's hard. Is this actually harder to lose weight when you have a lot of muscle? So we were just seeing like the muscle go up. We're like, wait a minute, do we want to get the weight down? So what would you say on that, Scott? What would you say you've learned from that perspective from KBC?
No matter what I do, if I still eat like shit, I'm not going to lose weight. I think my big weight loss that I had in like the early 2020s had a lot to do with me exercising, but it all has a lot to do with I'd stopped drinking like a year before. And I think just like not having that sugar in there helped kind of accelerate it. So now that I'm in a position where it's been 8 years since I did drink and I've kind of plateaued with the treadmill and I've now gone to KBC. One of the mistakes I made was to think that it was going to be the cure-all. So like, all right, now I'm going to classes. I can still eat whatever I want and the weight's going to fall off. And initially, I think I lost like 15 pounds initially, but then it kind of slowly started to creep back up. So this year, I'm kind of fully committed to trying to really be cognizant of what I eat and portion control, all that stuff. So I did see the muscle go up and that feels great. Like to see like my chest and my arms to be bigger is awesome. But for me, it's controlling my food intake, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. And it is true that your body will adapt as well. Like it will give you results and then And it comes down to the nutrition. And that's why I know we've had conversations before and I've said the same thing. It's like, change one thing, like we've done snacking at night or whatever, not eating after a certain time. It's like that one thing. If you can keep doing that, just like you did with the drinking, and then you added exercise, and then it's like, okay, you keep doing that, you'll see results. It doesn't have to be dramatic results. In fact, the more dramatic, the less likely they are to stay. So it's just those little changes. And one of the things that we do at Run Club is I ask every week for the people that are there to kind of share one thing that they're working on. And I think that helps. I really do. Like just to know like, hey, we're checking in on this. And it also helps me to hear what other people are struggling with. Cause people will often say water and I'll be like, yeah, I need to be better about my water. Or, they'll say meal prep. I'm like, yeah, I kind of got away from that. So I think it's helpful to be surrounded by people that are goal minded.
I agree. Like they're so funny. There's a saying that goes, I shouldn't compare my insides to somebody else's outsides. So like how somebody looks on the outside versus how I'm feeling on the inside. Because like what's cool about that is getting to hear the other stuff that people are struggling with and what they're trying to, like meal planning or water intake. It's all the same stuff that I have. And this person is like super fit and like something that I would be like, I would love to look like that or be that in shape. And they're still struggling with the same stuff that I am. So like that's where that kind of shared community of we're all going through this together and we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. It's really cool to hear that kind of stuff. And then it also forces you to get outside your comfort zone too and share about what's going on. Like I definitely tried to hide in the back of the pack before. You call
all the guys do.
Yeah. So I mean that part is good because once you share and get that shit out of you, like sometimes you feel great. So it's like that part it's a good thing to go through.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Mike O'Shea is actually in the book, and he talked about that, and he's like, I thought like he just was like really. I love all our guys because they're honest. It's like we just we're just real people. We're not trying to. We're just showing up as who we are. And Mike's like, she'd ask about this word, and it would be so annoying, and I'd be like, didn't really buy into it. And then he one year had a word that really was transformative for him, and now he's like, yeah, now I see that it has value. But honestly, I'd rather have people in our community that aren't bought in, they need to see it and feel it and experience it. And then and that's how I am. I'm the biggest skeptic in the world. Are you kidding me? I don't follow anybody. It has to become part of how I feel and what I believe. So I respect that about all of our members. I respect when they hide in the back of the pack. And I know one day that if it speaks to them, they're still showing up, right? So I think that's great. I think getting better together is such a blessing, and it's such a great way to live. As I get older and I see all of our members getting older, I'm just blown away by how much of a difference it makes. Like I'm just seeing the way they're aging. I mean, we've had several women in our community this year turn 60, and it's just like, okay, I can do that. That looks pretty darn good to me. That's okay. Before I would have thought something totally like, oh my God, no. But now I'm like, okay, it's really helpful, I think, to have that in our community. So, and I know for you're one of the younger guys, and I'm sure it's nice to have, guys that are like 10 years ahead of you can tell you maybe a little bit about what to expect for high school sports or what to expect.
Well, that and like even like just sharing what they're doing health wise. Like I went for my annual physical on my birthday this past Tuesday, and one of the things that a lot of the guys are getting are like this is the CT calcium score. Yeah, and so I brought it up with my doctor, and now I'm scheduled to get one. So it's like just having resources like that of guys who are healthy, who are cognizant of their health and wanting to make sure that they're making good decisions and kind of seeing what they're doing has been super helpful.
And let me just say, I absolutely love that you went to your annual exam on your birthday. That tells me how much you value your health, Scott. That's huge.
Well, it's so fun. Like it's so nice that my company gives us our birthdays off, which is awesome. So it's like, that's now like my reminder every year to get my annual physical on that day. So, and now so it's been a really cool little benefit of my company.
Yeah, I love that. So you came in and got your work. Were you fasted when you did your push-ups?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, God, Scott.
I tell you what, 1 through 30 were fine. It was 31 through 42. We got a little hairy there, but I was so happy I got them done.
Oh my gosh. Do you always work out fasted?
Yeah. I don't typically eat in the morning before I go to the gym. Yeah.
Okay. And you never feel sick?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah. I used to fight people on that back in the day because I say, you're going to get more out of your workout if you've got energy. And I mean, I've had a lot of guys get sick on me, like they'll get sick, they'll get dizzy, they'll get lightheaded. Sure. I'd say if it's later in the day, like dude camp, do you eat before dude camp?
Oh yeah. I'll have
okay, good.
Weekend, yeah.
Okay. So if it's first thing in the morning, you can get away with it. And I also think there's a difference between a 45-minute workout and an hour workout as far as that goes.
Yeah. Then I typically I'll come home right from my workout and I have a protein bar I love. I have a protein bar, an apple, and a Metamucil, a little fiber cracker. So that's what I try to do as and again, going back to having habits. For a long time, I didn't have a breakfast that was consistent. So now I'm trying to, and that's just in the last 12 months, trying to be consistent with breakfast every day too.
Yeah, because I think I remember that when we talked, you said that you didn't eat breakfast. And that's common. I mean, that's something that I will fight people on. I don't mind if they do certain workouts without eating if they don't feel sick. Okay, they really should eat something, but either way, but having something afterwards is really key, especially a guy like you that needs to get 200 grams of protein a day. There's zero chance you're doing that in 2 meals, right? Zero. So having that breakfast, breaking the fast, is really helpful. That's awesome. Well, this has been so fun, Scott. I can't believe we've been talking for it's just having a conversation. I am so happy that you made the decision to join the KBC community, and you are such a great fit for so many reasons. I just love your energy. I love the way you show up. I love your team-mindedness, your open-mindedness. I mean, in the beginning, I felt like, oh gosh, okay. You would just do anything. You weren't afraid. And that really told me a lot about you. And it just seems like you just kept getting better as time went on. And then I learned you're an Aries, which if you guys don't know, if your birthday's between late March and mid-April, you're an Aries. And it does seem to be a personality that likes to move. Like you said, your biggest fear is not being able to move. I feel the same way, Scott. That's something that I think about often, and it is like a release to be able to move your body physically. But I'm so, and also when we were at Run Club the other day, I'm like, guys, I need people on the podcast. Scott's like, I'll do it. I'm like, I love you. And then when I followed up, he's like, sure. And normally people are like, well, that's not, so I'm grateful for you for doing this.
Of course. Happy to do it.
Anything else you want to share with the Start Before You're Ready community?
No, it's been a life-changing experience to meet you and meet the team and the rest of the community. So I just thank you for the opportunity to do this. Kelly, it's been great.
It's been great. Now, one more question. And you might have already answered it, but what was one time in your life when you started before you were ready?
Oh, goodness gracious. I know I brought it up a couple of times. The whole not drinking thing was a huge personal decision for me that I was frankly scared to do. Kind of had to just do it on faith. And there are places to go and people that can help you do that kind of stuff. And I needed some help, and I got the help I needed. But for me, that was one thing where I knew that it was becoming such a distraction in my life that it was just not going to end well. And so to make that decision has kind of been the launching pad for every other kind of good decision in my life that I've made. So for me, that was probably it. That's the biggest one. And then the second one would be definitely coming in and meeting you for the first time. I went back and forth. I think I had gone to your website a couple times before I finally reached out, talked to my wife about it. And she's like, just do it, dummy. Come on.
I like her.
And so definitely taking that plunge and reaching out to you was one that I certainly don't regret. And I definitely started before I thought I was ready, but it made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Scott. This was incredible. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kelly's_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.